I think that again, education for all, men, boys and girls, but particularly there's been a need for those in poverty, lower socioeconomic groups, and for women and girls' education. And the Hizmet movement has done a tremendous job providing vehicles for that in Turkey and around the world. Out of children, you know. My name is Brian Desbiens. I'm a retired educator. I was the president of Sir Sandford Fleming College in Peterborough and worked in the college movement. Strikes fear in most Christians and most Westerners. And it shouldn't be the word that becomes everything you see about Islam. Yet that if you read the papers, you would think that every Muslim believes in jihad, which is absolutely not the truth. That's an extremist group, just as there are extremist groups in other religions. We had the Crusades were not exactly a high point in Christianity, as that they went about the world doing very inappropriate things. So, the whole idea of reaching out is absolutely core to the Hizmet movement, but I would say that it's also one of the most impressive things because it accepts people. It's accepting that we're all in this world together. We all have a mission in this world. Those of faith believe that you're doing God's work by reaching out, and those without faith also are touched because those who perhaps don't have faith but they believe in humanity also get touched by the reaching out. So I think it's core to the movement. I think it is what will make the difference in the long run, opening up and continuing the conversations. And I think what we find is that we have much more in common than we have differences. The common core values of Islamic beliefs is very close to the core values of a Christianity. We may have believe in different dimensions of theology, but the core values that support continued evolution of civilization are captured in all beliefs and by all people, and it's only when we come together that the goodness in the humanity will be able to rise. And I think we certainly have a great need for that in our world today. Amazing. Just amazing that 160 countries, what 1,000 schools now around the world have been created. The generosity of the Turkish people that give of their wealth and their resources in order to create schools in Turkey that would serve those of every socioeconomic background and that would serve around the world is just quite for me moving, because to know that you've gone to Africa, that know that you've gone to the Caribbean, that you've gone to all these different other places in the world to help those countries serve their people, I think is a remarkable statement about the generosity of the Turkish people and the Hizmet movement. The belief that education can be the vehicle for greater peace and greater understanding and greater social mobility. Education is the one tool that can help us raise people up. It's the one tool that can not only have them understand science and technology for a better world, but it's also the tool where they can understand one another. It's through education that we gain an understanding of social sciences as well as the hard sciences. It's a place where we can have a better capability of understanding our differences. The problem with not being educated is things maybe look black and white. But with education, you start to realize that there's an awful lot of other dimensions in the world. The problems aren't they're complex, they're difficult, they're multidimensional, and only through education can we really truly try to understand this world that we live in. Only with education can we then enter into the discourse, the conversations and dialogues that are required and needed. And I think the commitment to education is a remarkable part of the Hizmet movement. I particularly think that, some of the Western perception of Islamic countries is that they don't support women. And yet the movement, through creation of the schools, has been one in which has given great opportunity for women's education and women to rise up. And I think, again, being a person that believes that this world, it would be much better if we had full participation of our women in the world. You take a look at some of the Nordic countries with women in leadership, they're doing pretty well compared to some other countries. I think that again, education for all, men, boys and girls, but particularly there's been a need for those in poverty, lower socioeconomic groups, and for women and girls' education. And the Hizmet movement has done a tremendous job providing vehicles for that in Turkey and around the world. I find it remarkable that the belief is that we have a commitment to try to make a difference for people who have a need, especially at a time when, in emergencies, when people are so vulnerable to whether it's earthquakes, or whether it's tsunamis, or whatever that tragedy is, that the movement would see them having a purpose of reaching out. And not make a difference between Christian and Muslim. That these are our fellow, citizens. These are of the world, and the world can come together. I think when one reaches out to someone in need in terms of a crisis, those are shared experiences. We know that those shared experiences will live on forever in the people's. They'll know who was there to help them. So I think it's an extraordinary, powerful thing. I think it's an extraordinary, generous thing, because every country, including Turkey, you could put all your resources just into trying to make a difference just in Turkey. With all the challenges you have in Western Turkey or whatever, I think people would say, well, address your problems and you're doing a good job. But to realize that there are other nations and other peoples that have as great or greater a need at some time, I think is an extraordinary thing. And I think it truly does help bridge the gaps. It tells us that we're all people, we're all human beings, that we're in this world together, and we're all creatures. If you believe in faith, we're creatures of God, and therefore that those citizens, despite their challenges and difficulties, are worthy of our attention and our resources to bring to help them. I just think it's one of the most remarkable movements and efforts in the world. And to see the scope of it all over the world, all continents in the world they've gone to, all different groups in the world, without discrimination, I think. See, walking the talk is more powerful than just saying the talk. And that's what you're doing. When you go out to Haiti, and with a black population that's in difficulty, that's a poverty country, and there's nothing in it, for the Turkish group to go there except the sense of caring, the sense of doing the right thing. That's so powerful a message that, that then you open up people's minds to wow, wait a second, that's different than what I thought about the Muslim movement or the people from Turkey. We in North America have our own blinders on because in our own education through our schools, we study Western culture, we study Western values and systems, and predominantly European-centric kind of views. And so having a country like Turkey with a movement to go beyond all these boundaries is something that we just aren't used to. And so it opens up our eyes, opens up our hearts in a way that I think couldn't be done through just words or gestures. It's done by action and at a time when people truly need it. And I was very impressed in visiting the center and seeing all of that they are capable of. Their responsiveness, the quick responsiveness, which is quicker than government. You know, we tend to rely on government, and I think this is another message that is coming through the Hizmet movement, and particularly the emergency response, is that people who really get ready can respond quicker than even government. And they proved that in Haiti, for example, where they were one of the first on the ground. But I've never seen a movement that truly reaches out to the rest of the world. I think that was one of the things that really struck me, was that the movement itself was not just to benefit those of Turkish descent, but truly wanted to reach out beyond the borders of Turkey, around the world.
I'm very interested in how belief is translated into action. And I think that Gulen says a lot about this. His whole life is a testimony to this.